Say I just heard about a show.
Let's talk about it, talk about it.
Where the independent artists go.
Let's talk about it, talk about it.
Nisi got a new EP.
Let's talk about it, talk about it.
Stephanie's doing comedy.
Let's talk about it, talk about it.
That girl from LA
Let's
and
talk about it, talk about it.
And now your host of Let's Talk About It, Raheem Mitchell.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, Raheem Mitchell. Thank you for tuning in today. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, she's here. I brought her back. You guys kept asking me, when you gonna bring Tonya Defreitas back? When you gonna bring Tonya Defreitas back? Guess what? She's here, ladies and gentlemen, as my co-host today. And also, you know what? I'm gonna just let Tonya Defreitas tell you what's going on. Go ahead, Tonya.
Thank you. I am so excited and honored to be here. This is the second episode of Breaking the Silence. And on our first episode, we had Kamisha and Colette talk about Pretty Sad. But today we are going to talk about Brutal Courage, the anthology. And I have two amazing, phenomenal women who were a part of this project. They are friends of mine. We're business partners. And I'm so excited for what we're going to share with you today. You want me to go ahead and introduce them?
You go
like
on.
I'm leaning up.
Thing.
I'm leaning up. I'm getting into it.
Okay.
So we have the lovely Venus Chandler, and we have the lovely Tamora Johnson. Before we get into the book and get into talking about what is Brutal Courage and your participation in it, I just want to share some background because we've built a friendship. We have a really unique and strong relationship, and I love it. I want the people to know how we met, and then we'll dive into that. So whoever wants to go first.
Oh, we thought you were sure.
And then I look at you, and then I look at you.
Whoa, how did we
How
meet?
did we meet?
Books and brunch.
Bush and brunch.
And
We
yeah,
sort of kind of
absolutely.
all met. Like,
Yeah.
it was so weird how it
Oh
happened.
my God. Okay, so
Yeah.
at Books and Brunch, Venus Books and Brunch event. That was your first one, correct?
That was, my first one in LA.
2019?
Yeah. So I
Was it
don't.
2019?
Yeah.
19
2019.
before
Wow.
the pandemic. So I don't
Yeah,
even
day
think.
before Kobe died.
Oh,
Wow.
yes, it was.
Right.
So on the 25th,
It
he
sure
died on the
was.
26th.
I don't think I even reminded you of this, Venus, but someone gave me your name and your number and said she's having an event. You should reach out to her and ask her to either be a speaker or to have a vendor booth. And I said, okay. So I reached out to you and you told me everything was booked.
Yeah.
And then you ended up contacting me saying, hey, you had something available. So that's how I ended up there. We didn't know each other whatsoever.
So you met that
not
day
at all.
also?
We met that day,
Yes.
but we met in the
Lobby
ho-
of the
hotel
hotel.
lobby.
I remember that.
She was like just frazzled, and for whatever reason, I got there like 2 hours early. But I know the reason now.
Yeah.
But at the time, I'm like, why am I here so early? Lo and behold, she walks in frazzled, and I said, "Are you Venus?" And she was like, "Yes." Right? I literally had to bring her, like, calm her down. Did I pray with you?
Yes,
you
she did.
did.
I started crying. I was like, I just lost it.
Something was
lost
going
it.
on, I remember that.
completely lost it. Well, now I understand what it was. It was we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, and so she said, "Are you Venus?" And I was like, "Yes." And I'm thinking, now what? And and she said, "Are you okay?" And when she said, "Are you okay?" I lost it. She said, "No, stop. This is in the middle of the hotel lobby, people everywhere."
Yeah.
She said, "Let's pray." Just like that. And we prayed. And when we prayed, I promise you on everything that I love, it's like this calm, it just came all through my body. And I was fine.
Yeah.
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 That's the first thing she said when I first interviewed her, the very first time. She said, "Well, I don't do anything without praying first. So come on, let's grab hands and let's pray."
We did
God.
today.
So I was like, okay, this is what we do. Prayer's good.
Come on, all right, lady. Yeah, and then you came over to my my booth, my vendor
bought a
booth. You
book.
bought a
I got my
book,
bookmarker.
and we talked. And I said, hey, I see that you are a publisher, and I need to redo my book. I was telling you about how the publisher, the editor, just dogged me out, but I'm still putting it out there, right? I said I need it done over though. You said let's talk.
Yeah.
And it went from business to a true sisterhood like really quick. And then we all connected somehow where we literally
I don't even know how that happened.
I know she know that part.
I remember. I'm gonna tell it real quick, and then we're gonna dive into the book. But I just want to insert. We talking about Tam and praying because that's what connected us. It was first the business part of it, but one day I think I messaged you, "How are you?" or something, and she messaged me. She inboxed me with a voicemail. How are you? You know, you're always reaching out or checking on other people, but I'm asking, how are you? And she just was ministering in my inbox, and I was like, who is this chick? But she got all of my business.
Yeah.
And it was my business that she didn't know.
Yes.
And so very powerful with her prayer life and her walk with God. It's real and it's very powerful. And I think that's what brought all of us together. It was the praying, because you and I praying, you and I talking about praying. We had another sister, and then we're like, let's just all pray together. And it evolved from there. And the books even evolved from there. So Brutal Courage. Brutal Courage. Brutal Courage is an anthology about overcoming trauma. It's the second series in the Time to Tell movement. Pretty Sad was the first one. We talked about that during the first episode. This project actually has 3 books. So there's an all women's book, there's an all men's book, and then we had the remix. And I think, Venus, you were a part of the all women's.
Yes.
And then Tam, you were a part of the remix. So talk about your involvement. First, why you got involved, and then we'll go from there. Why'd you get involved with Brutal Courage?
So that would be me. One of the reasons why I got involved with Brutal Courage, because number one, I'm a life coach. My niche is trauma recovery. Even though I'm not a life coach, I coach about life.
Right.
But it's something that about trauma and recovering from trauma that's near and dear to my heart. It took many years before I was able to tell my truth, about what really happened to me. And that was tough because I knew telling my story was going to involve hurting people, and it wasn't like I maliciously set out to hurt people. It's just that I needed to tell my truth. I was dying inside. And so when you propositioned about Brutal Courage, I believe that title, it was about me. It was about being brutally honest, brutally raw, brutally real, and having the courage to talk about it, to expose myself even more. Because even in my first book, A Silent Scream, My Story, My Truth, I talked about my truth. But to even to expose even more about who I am, my marriage, what happened to me, the beatings, things like that, so yeah. I was all on it. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Well, for me, similar to her, I, as a coach who talks about the foundation of issues usually come from childhood, I always ask the question when I'm speaking to couples or just a wife or a husband, what is the issue when the issue is not the issue? Because oftentimes what we're looking at is the surface of what's going on, but the core of that thing, the root of where it began to grow is somewhere way down the line, is something that, happened as a child. And as I began to look within, like, okay, I have to make sure that I am the example. If I am sharing with those who I sit with and I say, let's go to the root of this, I have to do the same, right?
Absolutely.
Let me be the example so that I can tell you I know how it feels. I know what it looks like to look in the mirror at yourself at some things that have occurred and say, but I have to face it, right? If I want B to be better, I got to deal with A first. Right. And so when you put the request out there, I just said yes, right? I was in a season of my life where I said I would tell God yes to everything he asked me. Because it was a time where I wasn't saying yes to everything. There were some things I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. To God. Yeah, right.
Bad girl.
Not doing that, yeah. There was a season where I went through that, but in the season where you were looking for folks to be a part of the movement, the anthology, it was my yes season. And if I knew that it was God, I said yes. I said yes. And so to that project, I said yes. And I'm very happy that I did. I was also able to speak to my children about what occurred to me. And my oldest daughter, she read half of it and was like, whoa.
Wow.
Right. And she wouldn't read any further. But that's because she had a similar experience.
Wow.
Right? And so what it did was trigger and wake up some things, because how often are we pushing stuff under the rug and just not coping in a healthy way, right? So it gave me the opportunity to sit and talk to her in that and kind of work through those issues that she was having. So this was twofold. Not only was it for me, but I think it was more so for her.
I think overall the project itself is multi-layered.
Yes.
And I didn't know that with the first project, the first book. It was me telling my story and not having enough content to make a whole book. So I
Yeah.
asked other people to join, and this thing has just kind of,
Yeah.
it's taken its own journey, and it's blossomed.
That's true, because when you were telling me, it's like, no, Raheem, it's like 12 women. And I'm like, huh? He's like, yeah, it's 12 women that's telling their story. And you'll never guess whose story is what. And I'm like, now that's courage for, although for you to put yourself out there and say, I need 11 other women to come out to step out, more like saying, step out on faith and let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you guys stepped out on faith and you saw what happened. And for the book, and I was like, it's just me, myself. I could never see myself put my hands on a woman. And even saying that, it just, that just bothers me, period.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't stand that. I hate that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I hate it,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Because, oh, man.
Wow.
That's all right.
It's okay.
That's
It's
one
okay.
thing I cannot stand.
Yeah.
Is a man putting his hands on a woman. And even,
Yeah.
I don't care whatever it is, just walk away.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't stand that.
Yeah.
I understand completely.
Yes.
I actually had an experience, and not the easiest to always talk about,
Right.
but I had the experience where, somebody put their hands on me, and someone who I love dearly and thought would never do that, and that, for me, that's one of the things that now when we talk about deal breakers,
Yeah.
that's one.
Yes.
Now, I've forgiven people for cheating on me. We
Right.
worked through that. But it's something about a man putting, or a woman. Let's be clear.
Yes, come on.
That's
Yeah.
Let's be clear, because
Yeah.
women, we can be a mess.
Right.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So it's something about this one. Yeah, we keep your hands to yourself and communicate, a different way, because that is a form of communication.
It
Absolutely.
is, and I just want to speak to when we're talking about the root of things. For a man or a woman, there's a root to it. There's a root to the behavior. There's
Yeah.
a root to why it's even happening on both ends. Why it's being accepted and or allowed until it's not anymore, and why it's being done.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have enough time to talk about it, but it
Right.
goes back to trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes back
Absolutely.
to trauma. What you saw as normal,
Right.
and having to unlearn. I feel like that's the season I'm in right now. I'm having to unlearn so many things to learn new things.
Right,
Absolutely.
And we learn based on how we were brought up.
Right.
Our parents teach us what they were taught, and sometimes the patterns are unhealthy. The behaviors
Yeah.
are unhealthy. It stems from trauma, and who's gonna break the cycle?
Absolutely.
We're here breaking the silence because we're determined to break the cycle, and that's
Absolutely.
the movement behind the book, is telling our stories. I grew up, and we're around the same age, so what goes on in this house stays in this house.
For sure.
You don't talk about it. You don't tell people at school. You better not tell nobody
Right.
at school. You don't tell nobody at church.
So you don't.
You don't tell your friends. But we're not doing that anymore.
Right.
And the good thing about, as you said, getting rid of unlearning, right? Unlearning, what that does, in essence, is provide space for what it is you do need to learn. Because even if you aren't acting on what you've learned already, there's still not enough room for you to get more of what it is that you really need.
Correct.
So you definitely have to do the work with unlearning and removing, like eradicating, get it out of there, because you have to have space for what is needed and for you to move forward and operate in that.
I agree. Venus, you talked about your book, your main book, And I just want to publicly share again how your book influenced me to write my memoir. And the most profound thing that you said was, you don't need permission
You do not
to
need
tell your
permission.
truth.
That's
And
right.
I was yelling it. Because I had people saying, you gonna write about that? Venus said I don't need permission to tell my truth. If you don't like it, what's my saying is, if you wanted a better role in my book, you should have played a better part in my life. Like, if you wanted to be the hero, you should have been the hero. If
I
you didn't
like
want to be the
that.
bad guy or the villain,
Right,
then
yeah.
why'd you do what you did?
That's right.
And I'm
Say
about to
that
tell
again.
it.
If
Come
you
on,
wanted
honey.
what?
If you wanted a better role in my book, you should have played a better role in my life.
That's good.
But that's what it means, though. It
Yeah.
says exactly what it means. If you wanted to be the hero, you shouldn't have put your hands on
Right.
me. If you wanted to be Prince Charming,
Yeah.
the one who came in on the horse and did, then that's who you should have been.
Right.
Yeah.
All that ugly,
Exactly.
I'm about to tell it.
Right, period. how these young kids said, period.
With a heart T.
What a T.
Time to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the
truth.
truth. And that's what we did.
Exactly.
That's what we did. So
And
I'm so thankful that you two agreed to be a part of the movement. Again, it has turned into what I could have never imagined. There's been so much healing, not just in my life, but in the lives of everyone who's participated. And then families. Let's talk about that. The impact of telling your story
Yeah.
and when others found out you told.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you say that, because when I told my story, my family turned on me. And especially, my aunt, who I actually paid homage to in the book. And because someone went back and told her this was in the book, which it wasn't, something bad about her, it was not there. But we talked about that, we got through that, and you know how good God is? She's writing her book. Her book is about to be published. It actually made her say, I need to face this,
Wow.
And you would be, I can't tell you what the name of her book is because it's a surprise. But once you guys hear about her story, my aunt has an amazing story. She had a baby at 13 years old. Well, no, I think she was 12. She was 12.
I can't even imagine.
So yeah, me neither. So, this is what I love about this movement, Tonya. And I'm so glad that you actually answered the call, and not to mention you are able to help walk other people. And I'm not gonna say women, because it isn't just women.
Right.
It started off as just women, but when God expanded it, I thought He had opened it up for men. And then when we found out it was about the men, was about you, it blew our minds, But I'm glad you said yes to the call, because that's what it's all about. It's all about being able to tell your story, to tell your truth, to say what happened. Because to keep that inside, it's a cancer. It becomes a cancer. It eats you up, and that's how it felt for me. Right. So now honey, girl, please.
That's how I feel.
Now,
Free. There's a freedom.
Yeah.
There's a freedom that comes from telling your truth, and doing so unapologetically.
That's
where you're
right.
just like, I don't care. I don't care how you feel. I don't care what you
Right.
think.
Yeah.
This is what happened.
Right.
And
Right.
you got to deal with it.
Exactly.
You gotta deal with it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so that you can be better.
Exactly.
When I first spoke with Tonya, it's when I first started doing my show. I said, I have all these episodes that I'm doing, and I have a segment on my show called "Breaking the Silence," and she was like, "Ooh." No, you didn't. And I thought I said something disrespectful. I said, I'm sorry, ma'am, did I say something? She said, Raheem, you know what? And the way I was thinking of breaking the silence with is like jokingly, like say you go out with a guy, okay,
Right.
the date was cool,
Yeah.
but on the other end, it really wasn't. And you want
Right.
to come break the silence about that.
I didn't even know that.
But when she came to me and told me that how her book was and how I said, you know what, that fits better
Yeah.
than what I ever thought of.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, well let's talk about it. Pun intended. Let's talk about it. Let's do that.
Right.
So she brought the other two ladies on. I'm like, okay, breaking the
Nice.
silence.
I didn't even know that. That's good though, because again, not seeing the doors that were going to open,
Yeah.
the platforms that would be created for other people to tell their story, to heal, to overcome trauma. We're so much more powerful when we heal
Yes.
and when we overcome.
Yes.
In one of the books, I illustrated this way. Imagine being a soldier in war. You get shot in the leg. The bullet is lodged in your leg. They'll bandage it up real quick, right? They got to keep going. They got to keep fighting. Some of them will keep fighting. You can still fight, but you're not as effective. You're losing blood. You've got a wound, even over time as it heals. And there are people walking around with bullets in their bodies, right? Even over time as it heals, you still have an injury and a wound. And until you address it, dig in and get it out, like you said, like a cancer, it's going to bleed into other areas.
Yes.
And you don't realize it until you get to just a certain state of maturity where you realize it, like, oh, this is happening because of what happened there.
Yeah.
It's so
Yes.
powerful.
And it affects everything and everybody around you.
Yes, it does.
You know, you bleed on other people.
Yes, we do.
You know, so
We
when you
do.
get blood on other people, then guess what happened? They have to stop and clean themselves up.
Right.
From the mess you
From the mess you
Ooh,
did.
Right.
That's deep.
You okay?
That is. That's
So
good.
yes. And I have a saying. This is my saying, but this is from my current book. Healing is a choice. It's your choice.
Yeah.
Either
That's true.
you're gonna heal, you want to heal, or you don't.
Right.
Now, if you do, you got to know this: that once you start on that journey, you have to keep pressing through. It's gonna hurt.
It gets
It might
ugly.
knock you
It
down.
does.
It's gonna punch you in the gut, take all the breath out of you. You're gonna get pissed. You're gonna scream. You're gonna cry. You're gonna want to fight.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to put sugar in tank.
You're going to want to put sugar in things. She's lit at ear.
But anyway, oh God, back.
Bring that all back in.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All those things. All those things.
That's the part that's still healing.
Go get your baby boy.
It's a part of the journey, the healing journey. No, absolutely. I agree with Venus. I know that pain can will smother healing, right? Brokenness smothers healing. Just not knowing, it smothers the healing, right? So we cannot do it by ourselves. You know, when we say yes, I'll take this journey, I'll do what I need to do in order for me to heal. We got to find some folks that will be there to say, oh, when I fall, come on, Tam, get up. You got this. You know, this is what we're going to do. We're going to press reset. Because if you're doing it alone, you'll give up every time.
Yes.
Because I've already encountered pain and hurt and all of that over here. I got to go through some more pain.
Yes.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yes.
I'll just keep smothering.
Yes.
Smothering with addiction, smoking, drinking, sex, food,
Yes.
coping.
Yes.
Coping.
Yes.
Tam talks a lot about coping versus healing. And a lot of times we find ourselves where you're coping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You faking it until you make it, but you're not dealing with that's what she did in my inbox too when she got all up in my business. You over there working, yeah, I'm working, I'm busy.
Right.
You
right,
busy,
right.
but are you facing what's I don't have time to face it. And she's like, but you won't heal if you don't
That
face
too.
I don't have okay, I hear you.
Okay.
Look, pause. I gotta finish this manuscript.
Right.
All in my business. But it was so I mean, at one point one of the messages broke me because it was real. Like I am masking the pain of what I don't want to face by working. I'm an overachiever. Let me just knock this. Let me get this book out.
Right.
Let me get this degree and not deal with the pain.
Right.
Yeah.
Got to deal with it. Have to
Absolutely.
deal with it. And you
Yeah.
feel better afterwards because I'm so look,
You do.
I'm so free.
You feel light. You feel light. I'm serious. You actually. I feel like I'm walking on air.
I love
That's
it.
You
what
know,
I said.
I
The
do.
freedom.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing about it. You wake up one morning and it's almost like you say, I'm healed. You don't literally say it, but it's
different
almost
You
like
know,
that.
you know
It's almost like
what
you
you're
just
saying.
know. You
Tam,
just know
about knowing when
Yes.
you're healed.
And let me tell you something too.
You don't
There
know you're
is-
healed until you put in a position
Come on, girl.
to respond healed
Come on.
or not.
Period. And I believe there is different levels of healing.
For sure.
Okay? And so I don't know. I feel light, honey. I feel really light.
There's definitely different levels of healing. I call them compartments. So when I was going through my divorce, I knew that there were some things I had to attack, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a point where I said, okay, I'm not feeling those same things when it came to dealing with my kids, right? Oh, I'm healed. But that was just as a mother,
Right.
divorced mother.
Mm-hmm.
As a divorced friend, I still had some things to work through.
Right.
As a divorced employee, I still had,
Right.
so I was not compartmentalizing those things. I just said, I'm strong over here, strong here, wrong there.
Yeah.
And I don't think we truly give ourselves permission to, just set aside what we need to do for each relationship. I'll say that. But yes, you're absolutely right. I say, you don't know if you're healed until you're put in a position to respond healed or not.
I remember, Venus, you said something when I was interviewing you. You said at one point you said, it sounds bad, but you said at one point you had to be selfish.
Oh, yeah.
You had to say no to certain things because you said you wanted to heal yourself and you wanted to be to yourself and your girls wanted to come by. Come on, no, girl, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And you said
Absolutely.
at first you felt bad about saying no because you was afraid of what your friends was going to say. But then you said once the healing started, once you started feeling better, then it didn't bother you to say no.
Absolutely.
Right. And they thank you later.
Yes, and they thank you later.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna tell you, during my healing, these ladies and one of our other sisters was on their knees for me, honey, because I went. Listen, the whole world didn't know I was faking it real good. Didn't I look good faking it?
You look good.
I did. girl.
But
I
everybody's
did that.
not supposed to know.
Right.
Absolutely.
And but I was so broken. I was so broken, and it felt like I was going through this dream. So I'm telling you, brutal courage. Wow. In order to get through a lot of these things in life, you have to have brutal courage. And brutal courage is about saying no at the moment. No,
Yeah.
I can't do that right now.
Yeah.
No, I'm not able to.
Yeah.
Yes, I need a little selfishness. And I'm going to tell you, I'm still quite selfish with my peace and my space.
Right.
Not everybody is invited in anymore.
Right. Right.
And the people that are there, I hold near and dear to my heart. And I hold on to that because those are the people who were there, who was they were in the trenches with me when I just didn't feel like it. I don't want to get up. I don't want to take a bath. I don't want to brush my teeth. I don't want to eat. I don't want to do, those were the people who just, like, she's crazy today. Let's go ahead and pray.
She gonna be all right. She gonna be all right.
Well, because they know you,
Right.
It's the inner circle, and like Tam mentioned, you have to have key people, key players to go through it with you. I call it my behind the scenes crew, and I don't know if you remember, I had a moment one time, an episode, and called Tam. I don't know if I called you or messaged you. I don't know, but I broke down. And it's the behind the scenes crew, like setting up for a show.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't see who's in here setting up the tables
No.
and setting up.
Right.
But when the curtain opens,
Yeah. Looks
Right.
well.
the show is
Right.
well put together.
Yeah.
You don't know that the mic wasn't working.
Right.
You don't know that the backdrop fell.
lashes
You
fell
don't know
off.
that the lashes fell off. Somebody didn't show up.
Okay, but that didn't happen on this show.
No, but they don't know. But the team that put it together, that's the foundation, right?
Right.
That's what's helping keep it together. And it's the same thing with healing,
Right.
especially going through and overcoming trauma, divorce, breakup, because you're behind the scenes crew is like, okay, let me fix your makeup.
Yes.
The curtain is about to open, and you got to be ready.
Right.
So
Yeah.
to everybody else, you looked okay
Yes.
Right.
because you had
Yes.
your team to
Right.
say, you got
Absolutely.
this, you got this, and before you know it, you got
Yeah,
it.
You got it.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it took me probably a little over a year before I wasn't crying anymore. I cried every day.
Yeah.
Every day, all day. Cried in the morning before I got while I was getting ready for work. Cried on my way to work. Cried during work. Cried on lunch break. Cried coming home. Cried at night. So and then I'm telling you, but this time it's just so different. Like I'm really taking my time. I'm really protecting that peace.
Yeah.
I am trying to exhibit brutal courage.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to exhibit. I don't want to write about something and not be about it.
Right.
I'm about that courage. I'm about, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I got dogged. You know, I got beat down, you know. And so, but the bounce back, it's the bounce back. I have the courage to bounce back.
Resilience.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yes.
That is it.
Yes.
I know, and I should have taken this segment, which last time I spoke to you, I said, this needs to be an hour segment, you know, but, you know, being that it's not an hour segment. Like I said, I just got the 10-minute wrap-up sign. So, and I know we'll start talking again.
Yeah.
And we get on another time that's important. Then they'll say 5 minutes.
Right.
And then we get to go on something else. And as I'm trying to close, and you get, oh yeah, something else. 2 minutes.
Right.
And I know we can't put everything you want to
Yeah.
say in that 2 minutes.
Right.
You know. So like I said, we're gonna do this. She said, I got like 12. I said, well, this is part 1.
Right.
This is part 2.
Right.
Then we're gonna bring in 2 more. And then it's gonna be part 3.
Yeah.
And we just gonna keep going on and on and on until we have everybody in that book. And that's what I promised her. I said, even if we gotta put a screen up, if somebody can't be here, we can Zoom it.
Right.
But we're gonna make it all happen.
Yeah.
Love it.
But it's gonna be it's gonna be great. And I want to thank you, Tonya, for bringing your book here and bringing, you know, because it's like okay, Raheem, well, I got all these women, so you're gonna have a lot of people calling you trying to get on your show. And I'm like, but you know how people do. They talk. I was like, okay, yeah, all right. Big inbox. It was Venus. Okay. I was introduced to you by Tonya.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it was you. Okay, so she real about this. Okay, well, let's set up some dates then.
Right. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And we did it. But what I really want you ladies to do is give out your platforms. Let them know how they can get in touch with each and every one of you ladies in case they want you to come out and speak to someone, you know, maybe some group home girls or maybe just come and just talk to whoever, you know, and just let them know. So we'll have you do it on this camera here.
Okay.
And we'll go from there. So we'll start with you, Venus.
You can find me on all my social media platforms. Facebook is Coach Venus Chandler. On Instagram is Coach_Venus_Chandler. And that is how you can find me at any time. I also have a business. It's called Kensuchi Transformation Life Coaching Services. And that is www.kensuchitransformations.com. You can also reach me there.
And I'm Tamora Johnson, your girl Tam. I'm on Facebook and Instagram under Make It Rise. And my email is makeitrise2015@gmail.com. My website is tamarajohnson.com. And I can be reached on any of those platforms.
You can find me at TonyaDefreitas.com or LoveWinsPublishing.com. TonyaDefreitas.com or LoveWinsPublishing.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I told you I was going to bring her back. She brought back 2 ladies with her. See, so please, where we going? Please, everybody, please go out and support all these women. Pick up their books. Do whatever you have to do to get yourself right. And I want to also thank you for tuning in to Let's Talk About It. And always remember, I always tell you, don't share your 8x10 dream with somebody with a 5x7 mind. My name is Raheem Mitchell. I see you next week. God bless. Peace.
Let's talk about it.